Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Senior Night. Tonight, we will be honoring our seniors and with some of our boys' swim and dive traditions immediately following the meet. All swim and dive families are invited to join us for a dinner program at the high school commons to celebrate with an andiamo pasta dinner. And now, let us welcome our Eagan High School swim and dive seniors, class of 2023. And we have Captain Neelan Abalam. Neelan started diving in middle school and switched to swimming during his freshman year. He also played rugby and joined the robotics team. Neelan enjoys being one of the captains and joking around with the team, especially during the after-meet pizza parties. He's looking forward to the rest of the season, dropping time, more pizza parties, and the traditional bleaching of the hair. Neelan is leading towards UW Eau Claire, majoring in computer science. Give him a big round. Next up, we have Alex Bangall. Alex got his start in swimming at the age of 5 with the Foss Swim School and has been swimming competitively for 7 years with Black Line Aquatics. He's been involved in band, German club, and mock trial, as well as volunteering for the Bundles of Love charity during his free time. He loves hanging out with his teammates and leading the Go Big Blue cheers. Alex will be attending the College of St. Olaf, majoring in chemistry with a pre-med track and an emphasis in piano studies. And next up, we have Captain Ben Currens. Ben started competitive swimming in the 8th grade. He practiced with Riptide Swim Club. Ben is also part of the Eagan High School Ultimate Frisbee Club. In his last season with the swim team, Ben went sub-minute in his 100 fly, which was an ongoing goal for him. He enjoyed running captain's practices, meeting the new swimmers, and winning the first 2 meets of the season. Ben will be attending Iowa State University and will be majoring in engineering. Let's give him a big round of applause. And next up we have Captain Thomas Keller. Thomas started swimming competitively in middle school. He joined Riptide and has enjoyed other activities outside the pool like soccer, football, and track and field. Thomas has also participated in band and the National Honor Society. He was very excited that he's able to be a captain for the Eagan boys swim and dive team this year. Thomas will be attending UW-Madison, majoring in computer science with a minor in business. Let's give him a big round. And next up, we have Reese Genus Cook. Reese started swimming competitively at age 11. He swam for Riptide and Blackhawk Middle School. His favorite part of being in the swim and dive team is that he really feels like he's part of a team while improving his individual times. Reese will be attending Hennepin Technical College. Let's give him applause. Let's give everybody a round of applause, including the parents of all these seniors who have given and volunteered many, many hours for the Booster Club. We appreciate everything you've done for the Eagan Swim and Dive team. So now, please, everybody rise, remove your caps, as we have Ellie Keller and Libby Currens, seniors of the senior captains, leading us with the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was awesome. Thank you, ladies. All right. Well, good evening to everybody. Glad you could join us here. I'd like to also thank ETV for streaming this meet live on YouTube so that all of our friends and family who couldn't be here get to see it. And I also thank all of our sponsors, who I'll mention later, for continuing to sponsor the Eagan High School Swim and Dive program. Tonight is our final home dual meets. Let's give a warm welcome to our visitors from Apple Valley, the Apple Valley Eagles. They are coached by, whoops, missed that sheet, didn't I? All right, Apple Valley coach, head coach is Scott Pearson. Assistant coaches, Mara Shea.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Captains for the Apple Valley Eagles.
Well, it looks like we're taking Jonathan is going to introduce us here for our meet for tonight. I will be right back.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us here at Dakota Hills Middle School pool. And today we got the Apple Valley Eagles being hosted by the Eagan Wildcats here on January 7th, 2023. Right now, looks like the teams are readying themselves up for that 200-yard medley relay. JV starting us off here today. Looks like this is going to be a good meet. This is our senior night here, so only one home meet left for the Eagan Wildcats with 3 to go. Right now they are 3-1-1, so they're looking to secure that 4th win of the season. And right now, Apple Valley is also under 500, so they're looking to bolster their record a little bit more as they head into the second half of the season. Looks like now coaches are giving their final words of motivation and inspiration for both sides as the swimmers are making their way up to the blocks. We'll be having throughout the meet, lane 1, lane 3, and lane 5 will be our Wildcats, and lane 2 and lane 4 will, and lane 6 will be our Apple Valley Eagles. And we will see that change quite a bit, or it'll be changing a little bit during the JV heats, as that will be, it's come as you need. So in this first heat, we're going to have 4 Wildcat heats, or 4 Wildcat lanes filled with 0 from Apple Valley due to manpower issues, but it will be a good meet for varsity. So welcoming back Paul Keller. He's here alongside me up in the stands. And Paul, any
Hello.
commentary on this?
Well, I think it's going to be a good meet. We've got the Eagles coming in. Traditionally, they've had some issues with their numbers. They're starting to grow again. I think I saw 17 guys out on the pool deck, which is good.
Oh, definitely.
Unfortunately for them, the Wildcats have grown even more, and we are at a healthy 47. So
47. Wow, it's definitely grown quite a bit even since I'm here. I graduated in 2020, but have had the opportunity to be with this team for 5 years and still love coming back. So it's a pleasure to see the Wildcats out in full force today. Hopefully to pick up that next win.
Yep. All right. So we're starting out with the medley relay.
So 200 medley relay, that's going to be a 50 of each stroke swam by different swimmers. So starting with backstroke, we go into breaststroke, butterfly, and then freestyle to finish it off.
So with the JV heats, we're giving some of the younger swimmers a good chance to get in the pool and get their feet wet, so to speak. Really kind of feel out some of these. And we'll let them start here. And they're off. Starting out in lane 1, we've got Ezra Moeller, Pravnov Antavula, Bergen Rolling, and Carlos Conlon. In lane 3, we've got Brad Simpson, Josiah Schaffhausen, Riley McRoberts, and McGavin Nee. Lane 5 will be Ethan Schumacher, Ethan Jenkins, Isaac Krebs, and Lucas Hanna. And finally out there in lane 6, we've got Vidalis Cockrell swimming first, Ian Chong, Michael Boom, and Preston Dunn.
We already are looking in for our second 50 here. And that's a really good split from lane 3, 33.19, with lane 5 not too far behind, and lane 1 and 6 wrapping it up last as we head into the breaststroke.
Now, tonight is senior night, so there will be a couple of these relays where we're going to have an all-senior relay.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so sometimes we don't always do that. We sometimes mix it up with the different grade levels, but because it is senior night, I saw that Chris was putting together some senior relays, which is fun and exciting.
Oh, definitely a lot of fun. I remember doing those on my final home meet. The challenge was just as strong, but it is fun to try new events such as, for my sake, the 100 breaststroke, which is something I never did during my 5 years here.
I think he's done it both in the 200 medley relay and in the 200 free relay.
Oh, awesome.
Being that we have 5 seniors, I think he's mixing it up so that we have a senior relay in both.
That is awesome. And looks like we're heading into the butterfly for most of these. And actually, looks like even the freestyle for that final leg in lane 3. Really solid time. So we're going to see McGavin finishing out lane 3 for us.
And we're looking at some pretty good times here.
That's
and again, most of this is because we're swimming JV. We're really giving these guys a chance to get out there, really show what they can do, and giving them an opportunity to get in the pool and do some relay racing.
A lovely dive in there from lane 6.
The relay racing is a little bit different than individual one. It's a little bit more of a team aspect. I know both of my boys who have swam here really enjoyed the relays because it was a little bit more team and lots of people relying. Mm-hmm. And you also have to work on your exchanges, which is also sometimes a bit challenging.
Definitely. But this sport, it's a brilliant sport. It's having that team aspect, but also knowing that each individual matters so much, the result of the team. It's so important for every win and every meet that they participate in. So now let's get our way to that varsity heat of the boys' 200-yard medley relay.
All right, and it looks like we are going to be swimming 5 of the lanes. It looks like Apple Valley will have 2 and 4, and Eagan will do 1, 3, and 5. Let's let them get into the pool here, and we'll see if we can get them a quick start. And they're off and running. Well, swimming.
Yeah.
My mistake. In lane 1, we've got Aiden Smith, Vadan Shestra, Dabin Chong, and Neelan Amblam, one of our seniors. Lane 2 for Apple Valley, we've got Gavin Curry, Braden Rick, Caleb Frederick, and Sam Barnhart. In lane 3 for the Wildcats, we've got, this is our all-senior relay, Reese Genus Cook, Alex Bango, Ben Currens, and Thomas Keller. Lane 4 for Apple Valley is Gabe Lenzen, Josh Lee, Jovan Langseth, Aiden Kale. And then finally, out there in lane 5, we've got Derek Bango, Kuldeep Ratchabatuni, Mason Dietering, and Louis Decatois. So we're working on the breaststroke here.
And for those unfamiliar with the relay system, the relay point scoring here, it's going to be 8 points for first place, 4 for second place, and 3 for third place. So that is very important to get that top spot, as we have a very close race here between lane 3, 4, and 5.
As a side note, you cannot take all 3 places. So if Eagan were to finish 1, 2, 3, they would only score 1, 2, and Apple Valley would get the third.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what makes the team aspect of this sport so important, as if you win as a team in these events, you can really carry yourself to a victory later on.
And it looks like we have got Thomas Keller coming in on the freestyle, and he's making some waves. He came in ready for senior night, it looks like.
Oh, definitely.
And
a close race for lane 4 and lane 5, battling out for that second place position.
And Louis is I think he's gonna sneak into second there. Yep, and so Eagan takes 1, 2, and Apple Valley comes in third.
Yeah, solid times, 1:49.39 for lane 3, and lane 5 and lane 4 only 2 seconds apart at 1:53 and 1:55. So overall good performance for both teams here. But we are going to start off with a 10-2 lead for the Wildcats.
Which is a great place to start. Let's see. And next up, we're going to be swimming the 200 freestyle JV.
It seems that we're going to have a mostly full heat for that one. It's 2 Apple Valley swimmers and 3 for Eagan, so the points will still be important for those JV competition there. But
all right. So 200 free. Not the longest race we'll have today, but definitely one that is a difficult race to swim.
Definitely. I back in my day, I used to swim it quite a lot, and it's one of those events where it's not necessarily a distance event, but it's not a sprint either, so you kind of just have to sprint the distance. And it can be fun some days, but on the days that you're definitely loaded more into the front of the swim meet, it's a real tough one.
I follow a lot of swimming Instagrams, as might not be surprising, and when they ask about what's the hardest race, you'd figure it would be the mile. It would be, 400 IM. Frequently 200 free comes up because it is so fast. You have to swim it at a sprint pace, but it's still 200, and that becomes difficult. 400 IM. Don't give me a 400 IM or 200 fly, because to me, I think those would be worse. But
I personally would take the 200 freestyle, not being much of an IM guy, but I definitely understand that, the respect that I have to all the distance swimmers, but also the mid-distance, which is its own animal.
Yeah, there's no pacing in a 200 free.
No, it's just fast. And hopefully we'll see that here tonight too.
See some good fast races. Fortunately, no 400 IMs or 200 flies tonight. I think all the swimmers are happy about that.
I would be too if I was down there on the deck still. Thankfully that's only for college.
All right, so we're getting a pad replaced. Occasionally, sometimes those just need to be swapped out. Make sure all the connections are good. We'll give it a test here. They do have a timer on them, so you can hit them right away, but they don't actually stop. You actually have to wait a few seconds so that they can, so that there's a delay. So.
Joking, I would say that's some pretty good swims out there for the 200 freestyle, only 13 seconds.
If that was our 53, we'd be doing awesome. Even the 21:45 up there in lane 1 is not so bad. I think pretty much the whole pool here would be pretty happy with a 21:45 and a 50 free.
I know Chris would definitely be ecstatic with that.
get started here. Now we did see one guy starting off, not on the blocks, but inside the pool. Totally okay. You'd say, well, is that an advantage or a disadvantage? I think you get a little bit of a better start off the blocks. You can push off, not go through the water, and fly through the air a little bit. But
yeah, definitely. To each their own, though. It's the starting off the blocks can be a bit challenging for newer swimmers, especially. It's a definitely, you have to take a leap of faith, no pun intended, to get from starting in the water to jumping in from a meter off the ground.
Yep, and it doesn't look that tall when you're sitting up here in the stands, but when you get out there, you're like, oh, that is kind of high. In addition to that, the Eagan pool is particularly challenging because it is shallow on both ends.
Yeah, only 6 feet and the deepest point of the pool. That's why we have that separate diving well for when we get to diving, so that there's no injuries for our divers.
So real quick, we'll introduce the boys swimming the 200 free here. In lane 1, it's Ethan Schumacher. In lane 2, it's Christian Klein. In lane 3, Riley McRoberts. In lane 4, Sam Barnhart. And in lane 5, McGavin Nee. So, yeah, Chris has often said that our pool is particularly challenging to swim in because
Definitely.
It is shallow on both ends.
Well, compared to the rest of the conference, we're one of the only pools that have that really shallow water all the way across. So for the teams that are not used to this or haven't had experience in, let's just say, swim clubs where they practice at shallow pools, it is definitely a challenge. I have seen people hit the bottom, and it's not a fun experience as one that has actually done it once. The ground usually wins that battle, but you get a nice scar from it.
And it's particularly challenging, oddly enough, for the guys that have done a lot of swimming that are used to that fast, quick, deep churn.
Right.
And especially if they're a little bit bigger.
Oh,
the guys that are a little bit bigger hit that churn hard and usually end up scraping something on the bottom. But
through the rigorous program or through the rigorous training at any swim program that you see in the South Suburban Conference, you do eventually get to learn how it goes. And it looks like we got our first finisher here at 2:11 in lane 3. Good swim from Riley.
That's a very good swim.
And it looks like lane 1 is also just finishing up here with about a 2:31. Solid performance from our sophomore.
All right. And after this, we will move into the 200 free for the varsity. Take a look at that 2:11. We'll see if Riley is beating out some of the varsity swimmers. It's pretty it's pretty good.
Oh,
clip.
definitely in a good
See how
spot
that
for
works.
going into sections later on this season, but also for the years of improvement.
All right. So, swimming the 200 varsity in lane 1, we've got Josiah Schaffhausen. In lane 2, Luke Klopp. In lane 3, Ben Currens. We'll give it a wait here. All right. As I was saying, lane 3, Ben Currens, one of the seniors here at Eagan, and a captain. Lane 4, Bridger Cook. Lane 5, William Wynn. And in lane 6, Nicholas Kaiser.
And a little different compared to that relay where we had the 8 points, 4 points, and 2 points for first, second, third respectively. This one is everybody scores except last place. You got 6 points for first, 4 for second, 3 for third, 2 for fourth, and then 1 for fifth, with last place getting 0. So definitely it can go any way here. Even if you get first place, you can still lose the event itself.
Well, and I think it's important, you'll start seeing people cheering once they're, you've got a third and a fourth place people coming in,
Right.
because those points make a difference. We had a rare tie against Rosemont a couple of weeks ago where it was 93-93. It can happen, and that's the difference between one guy coming in fifth and one guy coming in sixth.
Oh, absolutely. Every race matters in swimming, and that's what makes it such a brilliant sport. Right now, though, it looks like as we're heading into that third 50, we have Eagan ahead in all 3 lanes with lane 4 of just a couple body lengths behind, so they could still get into it if they have one final push here in the last 75, but it's looking pretty dominant from the Wildcats.
And that's good, because if you're looking at our Wildcat lineup, we do have Ben Kearns, who's the senior, out there in lane 3. But lanes 1 and lanes 5, Josiah is a freshman, and William is a sophomore. So that looks good for the future of the program. You've got some of the underclassmen coming in and swimming in well.
And remind me, Paul, how big is that underclass that we got here at Eagan?
The underclassman is quite large. So as you saw when we did the introductions today, we have 5 seniors. And when you say we have 47 students, if only 5 of them are seniors, there's a large contingent coming back.
And there we go. We got our first finishers here. We got a 1-2-3 sweep from Eagan, so that's going to be a lot of points for them. I believe, if the math serves correctly, that's 13 points, right, Paul?
Yes, it is. 13 points to 3.
So that's going to be a big swing there for the Wildcats, as Apple Valley is already starting to fall a little bit behind. But it's only event 2 right now, so we have plenty of chances for Apple Valley to come back in this meet.
Yeah. So the way that I'm scoring it here, I think we are at a 25-5 lead.
Wow.
But
definitely the ideal start for the Wildcats.
Definitely.
Boys 200-yard IM, junior varsity.
All right, so similar to the 200-yard medley relay, this is a 200 IM, but instead of 4 people doing it, you get to do it by yourself.
Yep, along with that, the order is a little bit different since they start on the block, so you're going to be starting with the butterfly instead of backstroke. And it goes fly, back, rest, free.
All right. And we have 2 swimmers swimming. We've got Carlos Conlon in lane 3 and Isaac Krebs in lane 5.
These types of events, while not as competitive when it comes to determining the outcome of the swim meet, it's definitely fun to see those the 1v1s between 2 swimmers, especially if they're good pals. I definitely remember a lot of races back in the day through club and through the high school, getting to race some of my best friends and having a little bit of that friendly competition there and some bragging rights even.
A lot of honor and pride on the line.
Oh,
with these races.
absolutely, absolutely. At the after the meet, it's always fun to be like, ha, beat you by a second or something like that. It's it's still a good time though. All fun and games.
The IM is also a particularly interesting race because unlike some of the freestyle races or the other races where they're doing one stroke and you kind of see somebody build up a big lead, you're like, well, you know, it's tough to come back. In the 200 IM, that breaststroke leg, the 3rd leg, can swing a race really hard.
100%. I remember, I believe it was against Lakeville South here at Dakota Hills, where their lane 4 swimmer was able to catch up insanely fast on that breaststroke and actually ended up winning the race by a couple seconds simply due to being just out swimming everybody in that 3rd leg.
The breaststroke in this race is really the differentiator. You can be really good at the other 3, and if your breaststroke is slow, you're going to you may not win.
And that's why I was out of the 200 IM by my freshman year.
I remember seeing many people where they have a bad front half, and you just think, oh, they're in 6th place. There's no way they're finishing, and sure enough, their breaststroke hits it, and all of a sudden, nope, they come in 2nd.
100%. And compared to the 200 freestyle where you have that distance sprint, this one is very much the same, and you really got to know your strengths and weaknesses in this one. Hopefully you don't have any weaknesses, but for those that do, including myself, you really got to just pay attention to your surroundings and how to pace out that race.
And swim to your strengths. So if you see a guy flying out right away in the fly and he's going crazy, swim your race. You can't try and keep up because that may hurt you later.
That'll definitely be a long race though if that's their best one and the only one.
All right, so we're on the freestyle. And it looks like Isaac is coming in here, swimming a nice race.
And he'll be finishing that off with a 2:47.39 according to the board, with lane 3 still about 10 yards out. Hopefully we get so close to beating that 3-minute mark, but I'm sure he'll get it by the end of the season.
Nice work, Carlos.
He'll be ending that with a 3:03.82 in lane 3.
All right, 200 IM. We've got one senior in this one, Thomas Keller, sitting out in lane 5. Not his normal race, but he's going to give it a try here and see what he can do.
Definitely some experiments. Some experimenting, excuse me.
Let's I know that when we're facing a team that we feel confident that we sometimes put some guys in off races just to see how they're doing, and this is definitely one for Thomas. I know that he likes swimming it. His strengths are obviously the shorter freestyles, but we'll see how he can do here. So swimming in this particular race, in lane 1 we've got Tyler Burby from Eagan. In lane 2, Aiden Kale from Apple Valley. Lane 3, Miguel San Jose from the Wildcats. Lane 4, Gabe Lenzen from Apple Valley. And again, out there in lane 5, senior captain Thomas Keller.
Right now we're in the backstroke. It looks like it's a very close race between lane 3, lane 4, and lane 5 as they're heading into the second 50 for backstroke. And then we'll have a close race between lane 1 and lane 2 over at the 75 mark.
We see Miguel really pulling ahead there in the backstroke. That is one of his strengths, is the backstroke, so no surprise there. We'll see what happens here on the breaststroke. See how we can see if there's any change here, or if it holds true. Do we have a true breaststroker in the group? I'm not sure. I know Thomas is swimming the 100 breast later on today, so this is a good warm-up for that. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, 100%.
So I see Thomas doing a little bit more of a long pull and Miguel going a little bit quicker. Any thoughts on, is there one way that's better? Or?
Yeah, for myself, I tended to be more of a long pull and glide for a little bit just to try to conserve enough energy. But some people can pull off going really fast and having that really fast tempo. It just really depends on what coach you had when you started training, because there's different methodologies for everything. Like even you might notice in some freestylers that some of them will do that 1, 2, 1, 2, but then some of them almost gallop through the water, and that's just based on coaching techniques, and some are more effective than others.
All right. Well, it looks like Miguel came in first. Thomas came in second at a 2:14, and in third was Gabe Lenzen. Now that is promising for Apple Valley. Gabe is a freshman, so pulling in a third here at the varsity level.
Oh yeah, really, that's a really good time for just a freshman right now. At 2:18 is a very solid time, and definitely could in the future, next few years, we'll definitely see a sections performance out of him.
For sure. All right, and let's see, we did a 1, 2, and 4.
Yep, so that is a 1, 2, 4 for the Wildcats, meaning that they almost got the maximum points there. If I remember correctly, that's going to be a 12-4 split. So a very commanding lead from the Wildcats here, but still plenty of races to go. Now, don't blink or else you'll miss it. We're heading into the 50 freestyle. Right now it's just JV heats. We have plenty of heats, 4 JV heats total. And most of these are going to be filled by Wildcats.
The first 3 are filled by Wildcats. All right, and I will talk quickly here. In lane 2, we've got Jonah Moeller. In lane 3, his brother, Ezra Moeller. In lane 4, Ryan Huth. And in lane 5, Vidalis Cockrell. I think this is frequently called the Splash and Dash.
That's a very good name for it. I haven't heard that one yet, but that summarizes it so well. When you start getting into like state meet at high school or even into college, it starts getting down into like the 22s, 21s, and even 20s for some swimmers. So right here we had a great performance of 32.55 for lane 3.
And that's Ezra Moeller. Very good. And like we said, we have 3 lanes here, or 3 heats of all Wildcat swimmers. So this is another one where if you're new to the sport, this is a very good place for people to get a good start, get a feel for the pool,
Oh, and absolutely.
get some
And-
racing experience.
And one part that's nice, it's low stakes. The points don't matter until the final heat of the junior varsity for the junior varsity competition. So this is just to get personal best times. A little bit of shaking out there from some of the swimmers, so we'll try this again.
All right. In lane 1, we've got Zach Van Lanningham. Lane 2, Michael Boom. Lane 3, Preston Dunn. Lane 4, Ethan Jenkins. And in lane 5, Pranav Antavilu. And this is all freshmen and sophomores, so it's a young heat, which is great. It's always fun to watch the guys get out there and really show us what they can do in a quick, fast race.
In a very close competition here between lane 2, 4, and 5. Oh, that was a close one. Around .2 between lanes 2 and lane 4, with lane 3 ultimately winning with a sub-30 time at 29.78.
And Preston going under the 30 mark, which is always exciting.
And do you know if that's a first for him?
I do not know, but if it is, very exciting.
100%. That's definitely one of those races where, for all swimmers, it's a really big deal once you hit that sub-30.
All right. This is the last of the all Eagan heats. And in lane 1, we've got Bergen Rolling. In lane 2, Lucas Gord. In lane 3, Neelan Ambalam, the senior captain. In lane 4, Ian Chong. In lane 5, Philip Kozin. And in lane 6, Eli Carrasco.
I'm definitely feeling some sub-30s here in this heat.
For sure. And it looks like Neelan also is catching that this is my last swim in this pool, or my last meet. I am coming out hot, and that is a 27:47.
Yeah, that's definitely the way you got to look at it. I mean, for some of these swimmers, despite it being only about 2/3 of the way through the season, this is the last time they'll swim competitively at their home. And hours of toil and sweat put into training just for these moments.
All right, and this is the final heat of the JV. So in this one, we will have both Wildcats and Eagles swimming. We do end up with 2 Wildcats down there in 5 and 6. All right, in lane 1, we've got Kuldeep Ratchapatui for the Wildcats. In lane 2, Jack Groller for the Eagles. In lane 3, Reese Jennis Cook, a senior for the Wildcats. In lane 4, Zuber Mohammed from the Eagles. In lane 5, Vedant Shestra from the Wildcats. And in lane 6, Lucas Hanna from the Wildcats. And Reese came out fast, going to 25:35.
And that's a very solid time for a JV performance, definitely in the running for possibly varsity spots either this year at other swim meets or in the next few years.
It was a very close heat just to begin with, 25:35 and 25:84, so half a second separating first and second. All right. And now we are up to our varsity race. All right, in lane 1, we've got Louis Decatois. In lane 2, we have Dylan Amarabandu. In lane 3, Dobbin Chong. In lane 4, Jovan Langseth. In lane 5, Alex Bango. And in lane 6, Braden Rick. And we'll see how he... Very nice swim.
Yeah, and almost an upset there from lane 5. Almost beating out lane 3, but it was only a 10th between the 2 times. And overall, we got a first, second, and third for the Wildcats, so that's going to be another 13-3 split for them.
All right. So the Wildcats seem to have things under control here going into diving.
I would agree with that. I mean, there's always time to see if there's some miraculous comebacks, but it is a very dominating lead for only 4 events in. And a reminder to those that are viewing this at home, I believe we only have about 12 to 13 events, right?
Correct.
All right.
And the next one that's coming up is diving, which will be the Wildcats have a very strong diving crew this year. So we'll see how this works out. But if nothing else, we will see some good spectacular diving out of the Wildcats.
I'm definitely excited for it. It's how well did they do at True Team Sections, which happened this last week?
True
correct?
Team Sections, the Eagan boys team actually won True Team Sections. True Team Sections is a little different than our traditional meet because it's a group of, in our case, it was 6 teams. They all came together, and they every swimmer counts. So you put 4 people into an event, and the guy who comes in first scores points, and the guy who comes in last scores points. So again, you're looking at, I'm coming in 12th or 13th, that actually scores points. And so you want to make sure that you're doing as well as you can. Every swimmer counts. You want to be, if your team is deep, it really can help. The divers came in particularly well, finishing, I think 3 of them were in the top 10, which out of 6 teams, that's doing okay.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We haven't seen a performance like that from the Eagan High School divers in a couple of years, but under the management of Amy Carlson, it is always a very dominant diving team.
Yeah, and they just seem to be getting better. The worst part for our diving crew is that we've got 4 excellent divers and a really strong section. So only 4 divers can come out of the section for the state meet at the end of the year, and our section is particularly difficult. We may end up seeing our section produce a whole number of top finishers at state, and somebody might end up in 5th and staying home, and could have done something really well at state, but that's just kind of how things go.
Right, and I'd rather have a really strong conference with good competition than the easy wins. That's just at least personal preference, but just to promote good competition and teamwork, because South Suburban Conference is a very, very fun conference to be a part of, very inclusive of everybody.
Yep, and totally agree. We had Rosemont in here with Lucas from Rosemont, who won state last year in diving, and so it was, they put on a show here. It was great fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we'll see some great diving again tonight.
And it looks like, well, we're looking down there, I believe Apple Valley only has 2 divers, which will mean that they will not be able to score a full amount of points. But if with a good performance here, they can still take away some points.
All right. And so we'll be announcing the dives. I think we have the scores that'll be posted as well, but the dives will get announced. They have a dive number, a degree of difficulty. Everything will be off of the 1 meter boards. Obviously, no 3 meter boards or platforms here today. That's more of a college thing. Watching them jump off the 10 meter platform is both terrifying and exciting all at the same time.
As one that's done it, it is definitely scary. You're in the air a lot longer than you realize.
Were you doing twists and spins?
No, just pencil dive. That's about as far as we get.
But we'll announce all of them out there, so you have an idea of what you can see coming up. The way that it goes is they will do a dive. It'll get scored by 3 judges. The judges will all give them a score between 0 and 10. At the high school level, we don't see a lot of 10s. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever seen a 10. I have seen some 9s.
Same here.
Which is very impressive for a high school swimmer to get high school diver to get a 9.
Yeah, so just to explain a little bit about how that diving scoring works is after those 3 judges put in their scores, it is then added or multiplied by that degree of difficulty. So it does reward those that are bold and able to accomplish some of those harder dives. Let's just say one with like 2 somersaults and maybe a half twist, or even trying even more than that and trying to get 3, or just compared to doing a pencil dive. Sure, you can do a really good pencil dive, but if it's a difficulty 1.0, you're not going to be scoring much points for yourself.
Yeah, the degree of difficulty really can multiply it out. Let me see here and see what we've got for degree of difficulty. I know that we have had some that have really kind of topped out. It looks like, we've got a couple of them here that are a 3.1. So we've got some, we will have some very difficult dives. I'm just getting word that apparently we're getting some texts about one of the swimmers having a watch on. He does not have a watch. It is a medical alert bracelet. So if you're concerned about him trying to tell the time while he's swimming, It's a medical alert bracelet, so he'll be okay.
The only time I'm telling time during swimming is those 3-hour practices up at 8 a.m. Those are the days that I want more sleep.
Getting an alarm to say it's time to go.
All right.
All
Now
right.
diving's getting underway here. We do have 6 divers total, and we're starting with Sam Johnson for the Eagan Wildcats.
And that is a 103B forward 1.5 somersault pike. Degree of difficulty is 1.7. Next up is Stone Larson, and he will be also doing a 103B forward 1.5 somersault pike with a 1.7 degree of difficulty.
103B, forward 1.5 somersault, pike 1.7.
And it looks like what we have on our sheet and what is coming up on the scoreboard are a little bit different, so we want to make sure that gets put in correctly.
Yeah, it's a big deal if the divers don't do their correct dive. It's considered a 0 points across the board, which can really hinder a diver in their 6 rounds they get.
When you're adding up all those points and then multiplying them out, if you end up with a 0 at one spot, then you're like, maybe I should have done that pencil dive with a 1.0.
Yeah, and what's even more crazy, I believe it's two failed dives results in disqualification, if I remember so correctly, right?
I believe for high school it is 2, but I know when you get up to the higher levels, the college levels, Olympics, you fail a dive, that's the end of your meet, which seems a little bit heartbreaking. It's kind of like doing a false start on a 500 here and being called out for it, and you finish swimming it, and then you don't.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't get any credit for it.
It's one way of getting out of a 5-minute swim, but not probably what you want.
Yes.
All right. So right now they're going underway for the order. So because we have those 6 divers, it's going to be Eagan at first with Sam Johnson, and then Stone Larson. And then we'll be moving our way over to Apple Valley with Lucas Board. And then there's Jacob Campbell for the Wildcats, Reed Aneman for Apple Valley, and then finishing it off for us is Owen Kipp. They'll be keeping these rounds, or this order, the same throughout all 6 rounds.
Yep. And while we have a moment here, thank a couple of our sponsors here, Velan Amblam Realty, Doolittle's Woodfire Grill, which sounds delicious right now. I could go for one of their woodfire pizzas. Oh man, now I'm going to get hungry. Twin Cities Orthopedic, Riptide Swim Club, Ballpark Realty, Ellsmore Swim, the Wildcats Bar and Grill, and the Tavern Trail Stop. All those restaurants, that is...
yeah, food sounded real good right now,
it
but
does.
we'll have to wait for a little bit.
We'll wait till the end of the meet. No orders to be delivered. Not today, I don't think.
You're making me hungry, Paul.
All right, here we go. Stone Larson with a 103B, forward 1.5 somersault pike, 1.7 degree of difficulty.
All right, let's try this one more time. Good air. That was a good one.
That was a very nice dive.
Yeah, let's see what the judges put in for that one.
Ooh, 6.5.
That's a very dominant start for a very good dive.
Very nice. Lucas is coming up now with a 101A, 1.4 degree of difficulty, a forward dive straight.
101A, which is a forward dive straight, 1.4 degree difficulty.
All
That
right.
was a pretty good dive. It was a little bit of an over rotation there as he entered the water, but overall not too big of a splash.
Looks pretty good.
4.0, 3.5.
All right.
Jacob.
Next up is
103B.
Jacob doing a 103B, which is the same dive that the other two did, which is a forward 1.5 somersault pike, 1.7 degree of difficulty. very nice dive.
Very clean.
Five and a halves and fives. The impressive part about Jacob is he just started diving this year.
Really?
He did.
That's a very good start.
And doing really well.
Yes. For someone, regardless of the sport, just starting in 1 year, that's insane.
Well, and diving requires a whole lot of nerve.
Yeah, don't expect me to get on that board again.
Maybe a cannonball.
Maybe, yeah.
And that
very
is
nice.
Reed with a 101C, a forward dive tuck, 1.2 degree of difficulty. And Owen is doing the same dive as the other Eagan diver. So a 103B, 1.7 degree of difficulty, a forward 1.5 somersault pike.
I definitely appreciate the consistency.
Yes.
Oh,
very nice.
I'm thinking there's going to be some sixes up there, at least.
At least.
Yeah.
Let's take a look and see what the judges say.
Oh.
6.5, 6.5, and a 7.
Oh, very nice.
So I think
7 of the evening.
Yeah. So now we're going into round 2, starting the order over again, and we'll go through the same 6 in the same order, obviously doing different dives.
Right.
So that was Sam with a 104C forward 2.5 somersault tuck, 2.2 degree of difficulty.
There's a little bit of an over rotation there, so that's why the points aren't as high as one would hope, but still a decent dive overall.
Yeah. Well, and he's multiplying it by 2.4, so then the points still go up. This is Stone with
Bigger
a 105C forward 2.5 somersault tuck, 2.4 degree of difficulty.
Ooh. Oh, that was executed well.
So similar to what Sam did, but he did an extra half somersault. So.
That was a big risk, but big reward there with 6.0, 6.0, and 5.5, getting 42 points for the round.
Very nice. This is Lucas doing a 201A back dive straight, 1.7 degree of difficulty. All right. Let's see what the judges think about that one. 2.5, 3 and 3.
Not bad, getting 14.45 points there.
And
Good start.
Jacob's going to do the same dive that Stone did. So a 105C, forward 2.5 somersault tuck, 2.4 degree of difficulty.
Whew. Well, that was a good one. I don't know if it can top Stone, but that'll be really close.
That was just getting around that many times. 3.5s and 4s. Very nice. Next is Reed doing a 103C, forward 1.5 somersault tuck, 1.6.
Very nice.
All right. And now we've got Owen coming up, and he is going to do a 105B. So we had a 105C. This is a 105B, which is a forward 2.5 somersault pike instead of a tuck, which is a 2.6 degree of difficulty. So a little bit tougher going from the tuck to the pike.
Definitely. Would you be able to explain to the viewers what's the difference between the two?
I can sure take a shot at it. Let's take a look and see. Watch him do a dive here. So as you saw, when he did his dive, his legs were straight. That's the pike position. A tuck position, you bend your knees and pull it in.
So almost like folding over rather than
Correct. More
tucking
like
in.
a somersault.
Yeah.
And that was a very nice dive. Let's see what we can score on that. Oh, 7, 7, 6.5. That is a very nice dive.
Yeah, heard some oohs and ahs from throughout the pool deck.
So starting again back now with Sam with a 202C, back 1.5 somersault, back 1 somersault, tuck 1.5. All right.
And we have scores of 4.5, 4.0, and 4.5.
Very nice. Stone's coming up with a 303C, reverse 1.5 somersault tuck, 2.1 degree of difficulty. So his legs should come up, bending at the knee. We'll see how this one looks. Whew.
Very well done.
Very nice.
Personally, the reverses have always scared me a little bit just because you don't want your feet to slip as you try to pull yourself backwards off the diving board.
5.0, 5.5, 4.5. Very nice. And so Lucas is going to be doing a 103C, forward 1.5 somersault tuck, 1.6 degree of difficulty. Well, he's asking for the dive to be repeated just to make sure he's getting the right one. Again, don't want to do the wrong dive.
Definitely important.
Pulls off a perfect dive, but it was the wrong one. That would be bad for everybody.
Still look good though.
That would be good. He did make it around and got the full rotation. His legs were a little bit trailing behind, but still getting a 2.5, 3.5, and a 3. Jacob will be doing a 203C, back 1.5 somersault tuck, which is a 2.0 degree of difficulty.
Those legs got close to the board, Paul.
Yeah, so I don't know how dive parents do it. It's not for me. I would have a heart attack most meets.
Yeah, I already have anxiety from school. I don't need more from diving.
5.0, 5.0, 4.5, so that's excellent. Next we have an inward dive, 401C, inward dive tuck, 1.4 degree of difficulty. Oh, very nice.
That's pretty good.
Got himself pushed off of the board and got in very cleanly. 4.0, 3.5, and a 4.0.
I'm guessing that it could have been a little higher, but the knees were a little spread out for that tuck. I'm not entirely sure of all the diving criteria as I was a swimmer myself, but that's probably one of the main reasons for that.
Well, and here,
Still a solid dive though.
very nice. All right. And that was Owen doing a 203B, a back 1.5 somersault pike, 2.3 degree of difficulty. 5.5, 6, and 5.5. So again, you saw the pike where the legs were straight, doing it backwards. On to round 4. This is Sam Johnson with a 402C, inward, one somersault tuck, 1.6. Yeah, very nice. Inward dives kind of freaked me out, but 5.0, 4.5, and a 4.
Hey, still a good show, though.
Oh, it's a very good show, yes. So this is Stone with a 403B, inward, 1.5 somersault pike, 2.4. Another inward. So. And Stone has a tendency to get very close to the board. And so occasionally you will hear gasps from the crowd as he's diving.
I was almost a part of that one, too. Oh, we got our first bingo of the night. For those that are new to the diving community, that means that we got one number for all 3 judges. In this case, 5.5s across the board.
And it is a good tradition here. I love it.
Definitely.
During the bingos.
I'm personally a big fan of incorporating Yahtzee into the 5 judges for 11 rounds, but I don't know if they're okay with that yet.
We'll mention it to the team, see what they say.
All right, so thank you.
All right, and that was Lucas with a 5111A, a forward dive, half twist, straight, 1.8 degree of difficulty.
For Eagan will be Jacob Campbell, 403C, inward 1.5 somersault top.
Next is Jacob Campbell with a 403C, inward 1.5 somersault tuck, 2.2 degree of difficulty. Ooh. There's a big splash.
Yep.
Not necessarily what you want, but somewhat entertaining.
And the judges definitely felt very different about that one. 2.5, 4.5, and 3.0.
All right. Well, thankfully I'm not a judge, because. So this is Reed with a 202C, back 1 somersault tuck, 1.5. Now you see the divers do go to different boards. They can choose either board. There is no set that they have to go to one board or the other. They can go either place that they like.
You'll notice there that the diver did rotate the board a little bit, changes the springiness of the board so that they can perform a different dive.
All right. Let's see what those scores are for the 202C. 3.5, 3.5, and a 4. And now Owen will be doing a 403B, which is an inward 1.5 somersault pike, 2.4.
Beautifully
Very
done.
nice. Six and a half and 6.
Definitely,
All right.
definitely a commendable score there.
Yes. All right, round 5. Starting out with Sam doing a 5122D, forward 1 somersault, 1 twist, free, 1.9 degree of difficulty. Whew. Got that twist in there. Legs just needed to kick up a little bit more, but that was looking pretty good.
Oh, It
Oh.
got marked as a failed dive, but still very, very fun to watch.
I thought it was close, but again, not a judge. And I'm sitting way up here.
Yeah,
too,
that's why
so-
we're up here, not
Yep,
down
that's-
there.
So this is Stone's dive. It's a 405C, inward 2.5 somersault tuck, 3.1 degree of difficulty. So this is as difficult as they get for our meet today.
Yep.
I guess I should have warned people it was an inward dive from Stone, so if you're a little squeamish, you might want to look away. There's the bingo for the
Second
4.5s.
bingo of the night.
Next up is Lucas doing a 5211A back dive half twist straight 1.8. All right. Let's see what we can get for those scores. 3, 2.5, 3. Next up, we've got Jacob doing a 404C inward 2 somersault tuck, 2.8 degree of difficulty. We will see what Jacob can do with this dive here. I think this might be Jacob's most difficult dive, so. Three, 5, 4, 5, 5, 5. A little bit of discrepancy there, but all right, so it's Reed with a 5211A back dive, half twist, straight, 1.8 degree of difficulty. All right. We're going to wrap things up. Well, we'll wait for the scores here before we wrap things up with Owen. Oh, 3.5s.
That was our third bingo of tonight, but it seemed like the Wildcat swimmers were a little more quiet on that one.
So for Owen, we've got a 5-1-3-4-D, forward 1.5 somersault, 2 twist free, 2.6 degree of difficulty. If nothing else, this is a mouthful. Woo!
Well
It
done.
was a mouthful, and there was a whole lot of movement going on. I hope somebody else was counting twists and somersaults. Oh!
We got our first 8 for the night.
8, 7-0, 7-0. That, it looked good.
Yeah.
And now we're in the final round of the dives, round 6. So this is the last dive for each one of the divers. Sam is going to be doing a 51-32D, forward 1.5 somersault, twist, free, 2.2. So very similar to what Owen just did, one less twist.
Still impressive nonetheless.
Very impressive. 3.5, 3.5, 3.5.
There's number 4.
And Stone will be doing the same dive, a 51-32D, forward 1.5 somersault, 1 twist, free, 2.2. Very nice.
Oh, I agree with that one.
Five, 5.5, 5.5. And we've got Lucas coming up with a 401C inward dive tuck, 1.4. All right. Unfortunately, they're not going to count that one, but we've got Jacob coming up now with a 52-33D, back 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twists, free, 2.5. So this is similar to what Stone and Sam were doing, except he's going to start out backwards and throw an extra half twist into it. So we'll see what happens.
Let's hope for the best. Still just as fun to watch, though.
And again, first year of diving.
Wow.
And his scores are at 3.5, 4.5, 4.0. Up next, Rapid Valley is Reed.
All right, Reed will be doing a 302C, reverse 1 somersault tuck, 1.6.
That was well executed.
Right. Very nicely done. Let's see what we got for scores here. 4.0 across the board.
For our 5th bingo of the night.
5th bingo of the night. And now Owen is going to do a 51-36D, forward 1.5 somersault, 3 twists, free, 3.1 degree of difficulty. Again, one of the more difficult dives.
Yeah.
He's going to take his last dive, and instead of doing 2 twists, he's going to do 3.
Oh, man. And this is tied for our second, or for the hardest, or most difficult dive we have tonight. Wow.
Oh! So, Jonathan, did you count all the twists?
It's too fast.
I saw a
for me.
blur. 6.5, 6.5.
Giving him 58.9 points for that final round. That's a very dominant performance from Kip.
That is a, so I believe that put his total at 288. Just to give you an idea, we have a pool record of 305, so he's getting very close to that. And that 305 score is from 2003, so it's a 20-year-old diving record. I believe that McLean went on to go dive with Stanford in the Pac-12.
Yeah,
so
I'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good results.
He's a better than average diver, I would say.
I would say too, yeah. And with that last dive there, that will conclude diving. So we will have a little break here between the diving and swimming as our swimmers warm up again. But in the meantime, the scores will be calculated. And when we get those scores and placements for all 6 divers, we'll let you know.
I will work my hardest to write them all down and get them all done accurately.
I appreciate it, Paul.
But it did look like, so we did have 4 divers in that. You're going to enter 3 for the varsity. So 3 of our divers were varsity divers, and then 1 would have been a JV diver. So that's how that's going to go. The 2 from Apple Valley will both be varsity divers. So it's our 3 against their 2, and then obviously for JV we won that since we were the only entrant.
Yeah, I would say that first out of first place is pretty good for JV.
Yep. Although you could also look at it like he came in last, but I think we're going to say he came in
I'll
first.
stay optimistic for this time through.
All right, and we'll move our cameras around a little bit here. Start get things readjusted. All right. So we'll have a little bit of a warm-up here for the swimmers. Still have a couple of our alumni sitting down there. I see Chuck Steffen doing some timing. He's off at the University of Wisconsin. Who else did I see? I've seen a few different faces down there. Alex Cahill, former diver. He's over at the University of St. Thomas. So we're doing pretty good. Again, though, it's a night to honor the seniors, give them one last swim here in the Eagan pool. We don't have any senior divers this year. However, we do have a couple of more diving meets that will be coming up. We've got the Blue-Green Invitational. It's kind of an 11-dive format, so it gives the divers a chance to get used to doing 11 dives, which is what the standard is for going to sections, and then in state they do 11 dives instead of 6. And then we also will hold section diving here. So both of those should be broadcast over ETV. So if you're interested in watching diving, we will have the diving meets here as well. A couple of more diving. This weekend, we were talking a little bit earlier about True Team sections. The boys won True Team sections, and they will be going to True Team State this weekend to compete there and see how they stack up see how deep their team is compared to the rest of the state. There's also a number of big teams that will show up for this meet, but it was always fun and exciting. And again, you start cheering, who's going to come in 12th and who's going to come in 13th, because those points matter also. So, very exciting. Not only gives the swimmers a chance to get warmed up, it gives our crowd here a chance to stand up, stretch their legs a little bit, maybe get themselves something to drink. Oh, I'm going to hang on here and see if I can capture all the diving scores.
JV was Sam Johnson, the score of 107.6. For the varsity, in 5th place was Lucas from Apple Valley with a score of 59.5. In 4th place for Apple Valley was Reed, the score of 109.3. In 3rd place for Eagan, the score of 171 was Jacob. And 2nd place goes to Stone from Eagan, the score of 221.6. And winning the diving event tonight for Eagan was Owen, the score of 288.1. Yeah, congratulations all to the divers.
All right. So for those that, if you did not hear, that was Sam Johnson was swim diving for JV. He ended up with a 107.6 and won the JV event. For varsity, in 5th place, Lucas from Apple Valley, scoring a 59.5. In 4th place, Reed from Apple Valley, scoring a 109.3. In 3rd place, Jacob from Eagan, scoring a 171. And in 2nd place, it was Stone with a 221.6. And coming in first was Owen with a 288.1. And again, just keeps getting close to that pool record of 305. I know there have been a number of divers over the last 20 years that have all been trying to get to that dive, to get to that 305 and get a new pool record. That would also set a new school record at the same time. So lots of guys going for that 305.05. And we'll see exactly, see if we can get Owen to get to that at some point. The good news for him is he's a junior, so he does have some meets left to get that record. And for those keeping score, that's us doing the first three. So again, that is a 13-3 on that particular event. So after diving, the way that I have it scored is a 63-15. Now, swimming is one of the sports where, generally speaking, so we have we've got the true team plaque, and that is Neelan, Reese, and Carlos showing off their true team section plaque. That is a big deal. The Wildcats. So I've been with the program now. This is my 5th year, and I've never seen a true team section plaque. I've seen section plaque, but not true team. So that is they haven't won that since 2018, I believe. So that's a very big deal. It's something exciting. We have been to True Team State as a wild card, but it's nice to get in there and win that on kind of your own merit and say, yep, we have the best team in the section, and we are moving forward. Now, once we get to just the regular sections, not True Team, at that point, the scoring then becomes more traditional with with kind of only the top spots taking some points home. So you're no longer looking at 12th and 13th. You're looking at more like the top 8, top 16. So the scoring will be a little bit different for sections than they were for true team sections. So we'll have to wait and see how we do with that. That's coming up in a few weeks. But again, congratulations to the boys team for that true team section win. A first for quite a while since we've seen one of those. As I was saying, swimming is one of the sports where at some point you will have enough points to win the meet, right? You will get up to 94 points. Once you reach 94, there is no way for the other team to catch you because there just isn't enough points left on the board. But what they will do at that point is, generally speaking, the team that scores 94 or more at that point will then say, the rest of our races are exhibition, and the other team will start scoring points rapidly because the team that has 94 or more is swimming all exhibition and will no longer score any of their points. It's kind of a gentlemanly thing to do, to say, go ahead, we'll let you score the rest of the points. So if all of a sudden at the end of the night you'll see, well, why was that score so close? It seemed like we were dominating. We got to 94, 95, 96 and said the rest of the points you can have because we're guaranteed to win. It does make it look like the races are a little bit, or the competition is a little bit closer, but it's still kind of a nice thing to do. That being said, you do not have to swim the rest exhibition, but generally speaking, that is kind of the way it works. Little conversation real quick about scoring for diving, and what does the dive number mean? Well, if you were paying attention, each one of the pieces of the number means something, and so we give the dive number and then the dive description. Divers don't talk about dive descriptions ever. All they ever do is just talk about dive numbers. So it's a 3-digit number with a letter after it. Sometimes they reach 4, but we'll get to that in a second. The 3 digits are like a 103B. The first digit, the 1 in a 103B, says which direction the dive is going: forward, back, reverse, inward. So a forward dive is a 1, a back dive is a 2, A reverse is a 3, and an inward dive is a 4. So if you are doing a 103B, you know it's going to be a forward dive. The third digit, the 3 in a 103B, says how many somersaults you're going to do. So a 103B, and they go in half increments. So a 103B is a 1.5 somersault. So if it's a 104, then you're going to do 2 somersaults. And then finally, the A and B, C portion of it. An A is a straight, so straight dive in. A B is the pike position, where your legs are straight. And a C is a tuck position, where you pull your legs in. I believe that there is also a D, which I think is a free position. You end up getting some of those when you get to the point where they're, at the end of our last piece, we were doing a lot of twists and so forth. That's where you end up with the Ds. So the 4 digits, when you get to a 51, so I think we had a 5122D. So it is, the 5 means that we're going to get some twists in there. The 1 means it's a forward. The 2 means that it's 2 full somersault, 2 halves. And then the D is, again, it makes it a free. So, and then I think that the 2 that gets stuck in between there, so 5122, the 512, that means that they do 2 halves of a twist or a full twist. So if we look at Owen's last one, I think we had a 5136D, which I think meant that the 6 was the twists, the 3 was the 1.5 somersaults, the 1 was a forward. Anyway, the divers can get to a point where they're talking in nothing but numbers and letters. We provide the descriptions because I might be able to follow with a 103B, but when we get to a 5134D, I start getting confused. So the descriptions are helpful.
Yeah, it's almost a language of itself, to be real with you. It might not be as hard as a foreign language, but it's definitely foreign to a lot of people.
It might be as hard as a foreign language.
Hey, within the community, that's why you learn after a few years of being down on the deck or watching from the stands.
Yes. All right. So we are going to continue on with our racing here. It looks like the pool is getting cleared. After diving comes the butterfly, and it looks like we do not have a JV butterfly. Which, all right, let's go ahead and jump right into the varsity and see what we can do.
Yep, and during the break, because we had about the 10 minutes here for the swimmers to warm up again, I did talk to both the coaches, Scott Pearson and Chris Morgan, the coaches of Apple Valley and Eagan respectively, and asked them just how they were feeling about the meet so far. And starting with Scott, he said that so far, despite the scoreline of the meet, it's been a pretty solid performance from his swimmers. Over 18 personal best times for his crew of about 17. So that is definitely a very good improvement for them. And in the next, currently they are 0-5, but in the next 2 meets after this, they're looking to beat up on Eastview and Burnsville in the next few weeks.
All right.
And then
got some better competition for them coming up.
Sure. Yeah, definitely with Eastview and Burnsville, they're not the strongest competitors compared to your places like Rosemont or Prior Lake.
Or the Lakeville.
Or the Lakeville, yeah. As for the Eagan side, I talked to Chris a little bit, and he said that overall he was happy with the performances. It was a strong showing from both our swimmers and divers so far, and he hopes to continue that as we head into the into the second half of the meet. All right, let's head back down to the pool to see what we got going for
again,
this.
We're going to swim a 100 fly here. All right, 100 fly is off varsity. We've got in lane 1, Aiden Smith. In lane 2, Bridger Cook from the Eagles. In lane 3, Derek Bango from the Wildcats. Lane 4, Caleb Freirich from Apple Valley. Lane 5, Isaac Krebs. And in lane 6, McGavin Nee. That whole lanes 4, 5, and 6 are all freshmen, so we've got getting some of the younger kids on the varsity race, see how they can do. You might say, hey, wait a minute, you've got 4 Eagan swimmers. 3 of them will actually be swimming to score points, and the 4th one will be swimming exhibition. Again, it's an opportunity to get them to swim, get them to set some times. Swimming is one of those things, and you heard it from Scott. you may not even be scoring points, but you are still racing against yourself, trying to score a personal best, trying to get a better score, trying to drive your times down.
And while it doesn't contribute as much to the team itself, it's still really rewarding to do or to get those personal best times, especially in events like this where it might be a little bit more daunting to do the 100 fly every day. But looking down at the pool, we got first place in lane 3 with a sub 1 minute time of 58.96 before getting lane 1, lane 2, and then 5 and 6 closing out with with 4th and 5th. Oh, and excuse me, lane 6 is just finishing up just now. We got a couple yards left, finishing strong with a solid 130.
And yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about swimming. You know, you can get first, or you can just be trying to get I want to do a little better than I did yesterday.
Right. And some days that's all you need. It's
Number 13, boys, 100-yard freestyle. 3 exhibition heats, then the JV.
All right, so 100 freestyle, 3 exhibition heats, and we've got. Then we will have the final heat of the JV will be the scoring heat, but the first 3 will be Eagan Wildcat swimmers. So let's see if we can get the first 3 guys up here.
I definitely know that rush of forgetting that you're up and having to scramble up there as the coach yells at you. So it definitely is a little bit intimidating having to run up there, especially when everyone's waiting. But it looks like we're almost ready. We got lane 4 and lane 5. Those 2 swimmers are up to the blocks, but it looks like we're waiting on one more person in lane 3.
I will say that this happens to everyone.
Oh yeah, the best, the best of the best.
My oldest son Jackson, swimming Division 1 currently, has been the guy that's been running up to the block at the last minute trying to get to the spot. And this was not when he was in 3rd grade. This
some
was
habits never change. It happens. Some people like to procrastinate a little bit. Some people are up there like 20 minutes early. It's however you feel.
So it happens to everyone. It's not a unique thing. All right, so 100 freestyle, down and back, down and back. Starting out with the Wildcats. All right, and in lane 3 we have Vidalis Cockrell. In lane 4, Zach Van Langingham. And in lane 5, Philip Kozin. And we will. So this is starting to get to the point where this is starting to get to be a bit more of a distance, especially if you're a first-time swimmer.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't sound like a lot, but I challenge people to go out and give it a try, because all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, that was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, absolutely. I remember my first time doing 100 way back at the start of like middle school, or like 6th or 7th grade perhaps, and my coach told me, like, yeah, you're in the 100 freestyle, and it's like, wait, what? It can be daunting at first, but for those that are just starting to get into it, it's a big feat of strength, really. It's as you mentioned, Paul, it's a lot harder than you actually expect. And like going back now, being a retired swimmer, it's a lot. And you realize that all these guys, both teams, heck, even the rest of the conference, they're putting in a lot of effort every day to get better and get stronger.
And it's even worse when you're trying to race, because now you're looking at the guy next to you going, I got to beat that guy.
Yeah,
I've got to swim my fastest.
And sometimes that person can be what you need to go even faster. It definitely has for me in the past. I've had some motivation just by knowing I have to beat the guy in the lane right next to me.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Looks like we finally got our first swimmer in lane 4 at a 122.03.
So Zach finishing in with a 122, and we've got Philip coming in with a 139.
It looks like lane 5 had a celebratory fist bump right there.
Oh.
Pretty happy about that.
Very good. All right. Again, the next one up is going to be an all Eagan heat. So we will see who we have going on here. It looks like we have got the Moeller brothers swimming against each other, although this time they will not be in a lane next to each other. It looks like they'll be on opposite ends of the pool.
Yeah, you got to watch out for the smoke, though. It's lane 1 and lane 6. You might not expect the most, but it's...
I thought they were maybe trying to keep the brothers apart. I know I had a brother, and we fought occasionally.
Fortunately, I can't say the same, but...
All right, and so in lane 1, we've got Ezra Moeller. In lane 2, Michael Boom. In lane 3, Nano Talon. In lane 4, Ian Chong. In 5, Ryan Huth. And in lane 6, Jonah Moeller. I have a feeling that these two brothers probably don't fight like my brother and I did, so I don't mean to imply anything that may not be true. All right. And it looks like lane 3.
Right. Yeah, so the lane score, or it looks like the scores have just come in. The updated, if you see the board, if you're able to see the board from ETV, it looks like it's 60, or we had 63 to 15.
And I think that was after the diving event.
Right. And so those would have changed quite a bit going into the 100 fly with the dominant performance from the Wildcats. But we'll update you as soon as we can with those scores.
We'll see if we can do some tabulations here during our exhibition 100 free.
Yeah, it's definitely been a while since my last math class, but thankfully this isn't too much of heavy work. And we got our first finisher in lane 4.
You're still
at
in school, so...
Yeah, I'm still in school, yeah. STEM major, but we try not to think about too much about the calculus.
Oh, and the brothers are coming in 13th of a second away from each other. That is...
with Ezra just beating out Jonah.
Oh boy. All right, so now we are coming up with heat 3 of the of 4 in the 100 freestyle. Again, another exhibition heat, giving everybody a chance to get in there, get a swim, set a time. And it's this kind of thing that really helps out when you get to things like True Team, because you're really building up that base.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's oh, the paper's going flying up here. With the fan on in the background, but I'll talk a little bit before we get who's here.
All right.
Oh, never mind. Paul's ready.
I've gotten all the sheets of paper squared away. So lane 1 is Ethan Schumacher. Lane 2 is Ethan Jenkins. Lane 3 is Riley McRoberts. Lane 4 is Carlos Conlon. Lane 5 is William Wynn. And lane 6 is Pranav Otinavala. And we have got... looks like we got some good swimming going on there. Lanes 3 and 5 are really coming out hot.
Well, definitely. If we could possibly see a sub-minute race here with lane 3 and lane 5, with that 27 in lane 5 off the first half.
Oh yeah,
I think it's possible, Paul.
Yep, we could be seeing our first sub 1 minute. And that is William coming in at a 56.
That's a really solid time for a third heat of exhibition.
And Riley coming in at a 59, so we had 2 sub 1 minutes. It's another one of those milestones when, you know, people start swimming, they look at that 100 and say, I'm getting under a minute.
Yeah, even for the other strokes too, not just freestyle, backstroke, breaststroke, or butterfly. And that might be a little harder for some of your JV swimmers to make, but for those that do, it's a huge feat.
Under a minute in the breaststroke and 100 breaststroke would be... that might get you on a record board. Oh,
yeah, for sure. I mean, our records right here are sub 1 minute, but not by much.
Nope.
And I want to note with that, though, that talking about records, Apple Valley actually holds some of the strongest records in the entire conference. And they have a long-standing tradition of excellence there at that school.
They have had some very fast swimmers down there. It may not be this year, but in years past, they have definitely put up some very fast times.
With all teams, the teams ebb and flow. I mean, Eagan has at one point been not a very good team, and some years they're great, and that can be applied to every team, including Apple Valley or your Birdsville or your Rosemont, etc. Well, let's get back to the race, and Paul, what do we got?
All right. So in lane 4, we've got Reese, or in the heat 4, lane 1, Reese Jennis Cook, the senior from the Wildcats. So also celebrating senior night here for him. In lane 2 is Zuber Muhammad from the Eagles. In lane 3, Ben Currens, another Eagan Wildcat, and a captain, senior captain. Lane 4, Christian Klein from Apple Valley. Lane 5, Neelan Amalan another senior captain from Eagan. And then in lane 6, Jack Roller. It looks like we have got 3 seniors swimming the 100 free here tonight.
Yep, and looks like we had some good performances from our two of our seniors, lane 1 and lane 3.
Looks like our 3 seniors came in 1, 2, 3.
That's always a fun sight to see. And one note about Reese is that I talked to him earlier, and he made a wager with his friend to see if he could go under 57. So that definitely is going to pay off for him.
Very nice.
So happy to see that he dropped some time and had an excellent performance here today.
Congratulations, Reese. I hope you at least got some free Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, I love Buffalo Wild Wings right now.
And if you're going into Buffalo Wild Wings, make sure you tell them that you're part of the Eagan Swim and Dive.
Yeah, Team E, right?
Yeah,
Team E has an echo.
All right, so now we are at the varsity 100-yard freestyle. All right, in lane 1, we've got Alex Bango, a senior from the Eagan Wildcats. Lane 2, Nicholas Kaiser from Apple Valley. Lane 3, Dobbin Chong from the Wildcats. Lane 4, Jovan Langseth from Apple Valley. Lane 5, Miguel San Jose from the Wildcats. And in lane 6, Gavin Curry. And it looks like we have got quite a race going on here. We have got lanes 3, 4, and 5, and even lane 1 kind of all.
Hey, but don't forget lane 2 and lane 6. They're definitely having a good competition amongst themselves back there.
They are definitely swimming hard there. We've got, well, it looks like the 2 Wildcats had good turns there. Coming in strong. And we have got...
Oh, Miguel with the first place at 49.68. So getting that sub 50, that's always a very impressive performance if you get that under that 50 mark.
So I did talk to Miguel earlier, and that was his goal, was to go under 50 today in the 100 free.
Is that his first time then?
I don't know if it's his first time. It might be the first time this season, though.
Yeah, without a fast skin or shaving and tapering. Because I'll tell you what, those fast skins, or the racing suits that they use during sections and state, and also just prepping yourself properly for the state meet, it can change a lot and make you so much faster.
Yeah. I believe that Tyler Husko, the assistant for Eagan, told Miguel that he should go 49.9. Hey, 49.6, so...
Mission accomplished.
Exactly.
But taking a look at it, though, we got a 1-2-3 for the Wildcats there, so that, again, is going to be a 13-3 split, and Paul's doing the calculations real quick to see what we got. We'll just give it a moment, but in the meantime, while he's figuring that out, we're doing the 500 freestyle JV heat, so there's only 2 swimmers out there. This is definitely a very respected stroke or distance event, as it is the longest distance for any swimmer in high school. Granted, that gets longer in college, but it's very much respect those that have to go all 20 lengths of the pool fast.
Yes, it is one of those things where, especially for the starting swimmers, they look at that and say, I'm never doing it. They all end up getting there, but when you start, you're like, that doesn't seem like that's going to be for me.
Yeah, all coaches usually have an eye for trying to get everybody to swim it at least once.
Yep. So the way that I have this scored right now, after the 100 free, it is 88-21.
Wow. Yeah, so we're getting close to that special 94 mark, which is what is needed to win an event.
Yep.
But let's.
So real quick, the 2 swimmers that we do have in the pool, just to make sure that we don't miss out talking about them, we have Preston Dunn in lane 1, who is a 10th grader. And in lane 3, it is Mason Dietering, who is also a 10th grader. Oh, I might have some... I have Mason listed twice. I don't think he's going to swim the 500 twice, is he?
I sure hope not. All power to him if he does, but I've only seen that once in my time of swimming, and that was for one of the more fun nights. But yeah, usually, for those that don't know, you're only allowed to swim in 4 events total, either 3. Is it 3 individual events or 3 relays? Or?
So you can do 2 individual events and 2 relays.
Right,
is generally what happens.
My apologies.
Occasionally you will see somebody that will swim 1 individual event and 3 relays, but usually it's a 2 and 2.
Yeah, that's usually what you should expect. But there's always, sometimes coaches have a fun a fun day and decide to switch it up a little bit, maybe backload or load them more in the back to do like the 200 free, 100 breaststroke, 100 back, and 400 freestyle relay, and that can be a bit chaotic. Again, all respect to those that have done it. I've gotten close myself doing four of the last 5 events, but for those that do all 4, I salute them.
Well, if you're doing a back-to-back 500, then you must have done something. Either that or you volunteered, but I'm not quite sure why that.
Yeah, I would probably say that was the former, if anything. That's a little crazy, crazier than some of these swimmers out here. Yeah, thankfully, though, we don't have to sit here for the mile or the 1,000. Those are some of the most daunting ones, in my opinion. I was a little bit of a distance swimmer, but seeing someone swim the mile, which is, what is it, 66 lengths, right?
Yes, 1,600. So it's a long race.
Yeah, it's taxing both on the swimmer and I would say to the counter as well, who has to kneel there on those kickboards for most of the meet.
Very true. Although, just as a side note, the counter can be completely wrong, and it is up to the swimmer to keep track of themselves.
I've had that once. Some of the more fond memories of mine is back in my sophomore year. I swam the 500, and my counter actually dropped the counter into the pool. So, I mean, it told me that it was on 5 for the most of the competition. So, at least knew I was past the 100 mark. But yeah, you have to have some mental strength and know how to count by 25 or 50 as a swimmer. So the math does come in handy.
Yeah, and it is also helpful to just be able to see that and kind of let your mind go and get into a rhythm.
Yeah, similar to practice, you can almost put your mind in autopilot in some of these situations where if you know how to approach the event, you can then just go straight into it and know for like 200, 300 just to keep a really strong showing in the pool.
Yeah. I do see that Mason is holding some very nice even splits. He's 32, 33s pretty much the entire time. So. And
that's very important to maintain that current or that pace for most of the race, as if you start falling off, it's hard to get back into that race pace at like a lower, like around the 32, as we were just seeing right now on the screen.
So he's locked in there, and still got a good kick going too, which is also impressive.
Yeah, and it looks like we're at the 17th length for our swimmer in lane 3, and then 13th length for the one in lane 1. So still have a little bit of ways to go, but we're heading into that 4.5 minute mark here at Dakota Hills.
Yeah. So Mason is going to get the bell here. He is swimming quite the race for JV.
And for those that are new to swimming, the bell usually signifies that you have a 50 left for a short course pool, as we see here, or 100 left for those long course pools that you see over the summer, like what the Olympians swim in at the Summer Olympics.
And those are a 50-meter pool, so they're actually even a little bit longer.
Yeah, my bad. It's
if you think, oh, it's only twice as long. No, it's twice as long,
a little bit
and
more.
Then some. Oh, that's a very nice swim for me. Mason, 5:24,
yeah. That's very solid for a JV swim. That could even get him into sections, too, as a fourth swimmer.
Yeah, and I know that he has been doing a lot of varsity 500s, so I'm wondering if Chris put him in here. I'm starting to wonder if he might be swimming that 500 after this. We'll have to wait and see.
Hey, well, only time will tell. We got a minute or two to figure that one out. Thankfully, I don't have to work too hard. I just kind of get to watch and see what happens.
We'll sit, we'll wait, we'll talk.
Yeah, I'll leave the stress and anxiety to the coaches down on the deck.
And it looks like Preston is on his last 50 here as well.
Hey, he's powering through. We're on the 17th length right now for him, so only about 75 more yards to go. And this is the part in a lot of races, especially for distance, where it's like the make or break. You gotta just take a hold of the race and just do your best, because you know you're almost done. So.
and this is the point where if you're really swimming strong, this is where you start to sprint. If you have it in you.
Yeah, if you can call it a sprint at that point.
I do not. I'll be the first to admit at this point I'm like, well, let's just hope I finish.
Right. But it is crazy seeing some of those swimmers out there able to negative split a 500. And by that, negative split means that that first 250 they go a certain time, and then they do the second half faster after they've already done 250 yards.
And generally speaking, that second 250, they're just dropping 50. Each 50 goes faster and faster and faster. That's some very serious training.
Right.
Someone like Katie Ledecky, negative splits.
Yeah, I'd say Katie Ledecky's pretty good. Doesn't she have 18 of the fastest, or like the top 20 records for
For the
one of
100,
events?
it's the 800, I think.
Yeah, I think it's
something like
800.
that. Yeah, she's very fast.
I would say, in the words of Chris Morgan, pretty good.
And you got a lot of the boys cheering Preston on here at the very end, getting him into the finish.
Wrapping up at
Very
a
nice.
7:39. That's a really impressive performance. I'm not sure if this is his first time swimming, but if it is, he seems pretty stoked. So I'm guessing that was his first time.
I am guessing that is his first 500. Congratulations.
And the boys are hugging down there and knowing that it was probably a very good swim for him, probably a personal best. And
Well,
we have no
I,
data up here for that, but
I hate to tell you this, but I think I see Mason lining up for the 500 again.
round two then, round two. Now, it must have been a rough school day for Mason there because he's back in the pool in lane 3.
Well, we will see what he does here. We'll see. That is that's a tough swim.
Yeah, maybe a negative split 1,000. So I'd be thrilled to see what happens. But let's see.
Well, good luck to you, Mason.
Yeah, but let's see who we got in the pool, Paul.
Yes. So in lane 1, we've got Kuldeep Ratchabatui for Eagan. In lane 2, Dylan Amarabandhu from Apple Valley. In lane 3, as we said, Mason Dietering. In lane 4, Josh Lee from Apple Valley. And in lane 5, Vedant Shestra from Eagan.
I've heard that name before. He has an older brother, right?
He does have an older brother. His older brother has graduated, I think, a couple of years ago. But Vedant is carrying on the tradition of the Shestra name and swimming as well.
Yeah, and it's always fun to see brothers and sisters too, like competing within the same sport. Granted, they're not in the same season, but just seeing entire families come through. Some that I can mention from the past in my time is the Bromans, the Dawsons, even the Kellers. We still have Thomas here, but Jackson was an underclassman at the time I was at the school.
Yeah, I know that those swimming with your siblings, at least for Jackson and Thomas, was very special. They loved doing relays together.
Oh yeah.
Particularly, we have a set of brothers on the team currently, Alex and Derek Bango.
Yep.
Alex is also a senior. One of the favorite relays was a Keller Bango relay, which they really enjoyed.
If only you could have 6 people, and you could have Ezra and Jonah in there too.
You could throw them in. Yep. Well, it looks like Mason is working on keeping up with Josh Lee in lane 4, and he is swimming hard. Let's see how this split is going here after. Oh my, he's still doing 32s, and that was actually a fast 32.
Yeah.
That was faster than what his splits were in the JV race.
Which is crazy to think, like conserving that much energy, because usually, I mean, you want to go all out for all of these events, but to do it back to back.
Well, unfortunately, I'm assuming he knew that he was going to be swimming the 500 again.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, it might have been a rough day at school, just wanted to burn off some energy, but he's keeping up with Josh really well in lane 4, as they both are in the 32 high for their splits at the moment, as we head into the 11th length for them.
That is some serious swimming, I'll tell you that. You can see both of their counters are shaking their numbers up and down, telling them, keep going, you got to go
Definitely.
faster.
It's yeah, as someone that has had a counter that's shaken every time, it can be both demoralizing but also encouraging, depending on the situation. Because you want to go faster, but at the same time, it's like I'm trying to go faster.
You know that guy is on your side, though. That guy wants you to go faster.
Oh, absolutely.
He's cheering for you.
And usually they get some of their instructions from the coaches on the sideline, and I don't know how much you can see from the cameras, but sometimes you'll see either Scott or Chris or even Tyler be shaking their papers, the programs, excuse me, and be trying to wave them on from the sidelines too.
Well, Mason has taken a little bit of a lead, and he is still swimming strong for his second 500.
Right.
33-13. So he's still he's holding the. He's actually a little faster than he was on that JV race.
Yeah, when we're in the final 150 for those middle lane swimmers there, still both holding on really well.
That is, I'm impressed.
Oh yeah, me too, me too. It's a lot of work.
That one went under 33, so he is negative splitting, I think, his second 500.
I think so too. It's
maybe he used that 500 as a warm-up.
If that's his warm-up, good for him. I'm scared to ask what the break was for him.
I don't know if that's a great plan, but it's sure impressive.
Yeah, so we're at 4:45 now on the board with almost 50 yards left for those two swimmers in lane 3 and 4. So we'll see. This is going to be a close one for that negative split. And
I'll tell you what, even if he doesn't get quite the negative split, I'll still be impressed.
Oh, right. Yeah, as for the other lanes, I see in lane 5 they're at the 16th length. And for lane 1 we're at the 17th length, so he has less than 100 left. And then for lane 2, I can't quite see what the counter has at the moment, but I'll let you know when we get to it.
Negative split. Beat his JV time by 3 seconds.
And that's a 5:21 right there, along with a 5:28 from Josh in lane 4, which is still a very impressive swim. Yeah, despite the second place, I was still mad respect to lane 4 for that good swim.
5:28 is nothing to be ashamed of. That's a good time.
And a good show of sportsmanship between the two guys. It was an excellent race. And I said I would get back to you on it. Lane 2 is at the 17th length, so they still have less than 100 left, but still going strong.
All right. And lane 5 finishing up. Let's see if we can get a final time on that one.
Well, lane 1 finishes up in 3rd place with a 6:13.42. It looks like lane 5 actually didn't touch the wall. No, lane 5 not touching the wall. I'm guessing they meant to touch it, but... Oh.
He stopped a little early, I think. Might have been the issue.
Well, maybe, yeah. It marked it now, but it marked it as a 6:26, but I'm not sure what's happening there.
All right. Well, we will see if we'll see what happens in lane 5.
Yeah, and if we figure out what happens, we'll let you know.
Did he have an extra 50?
Perhaps.
Is it a matter of the counter being wrong?
It strikes again.
Let's see where we end up here. Oh, now we have a time for lane 5. I think there was an extra 50
All right,
that
an extra
needed to be done there.
Man, that's definitely experience. At least it's on a more lower stake night for the swimmer in lane 5.
Very much so.
And it looks like lane 2 is finally coming in. Let's see if they get under that 7:30, and they do at a 7:28 on the button.
Flat, nice.
Very good for if that's the first swim. It's probably a personal best seeing the swimmer's reaction down there.
All right.
So now we're back at the relay here, the 200 freestyle relay. So 4 swimmers will be in each lane, each swimming a 50 freestyle. And this is a really fast-paced race. It'll definitely go rather quick as our swimmers step up. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but do I see a diver in lane 3?
I think that is a diving relay in lane 3.
That's a fun time.
Lots of good entries into the water. What happens after that? We've got good entries into the water.
Hey, that's one crucial part of the race. So
It is very critical to get a good entry. So we got the 200 freestyle. This is the JV race. We've got lanes 1, 3, and 5 for the Wildcats and lane 4 for Apple Valley. So this is a 200 free relay, so it's down and back.
Yep, almost as quick as that 50 freestyle. Just do it again 3 more times.
All right, and in lane 1, we've got Eli Carrasco, Vidalis Cockrell, Ryan Huth, and Lucas Gord. In lane 3, we do have our diving relay with Owen Kipp, Jacob Campbell, Stone Larson, and Sam Johnson. In lane 4 for Apple Valley, we've got Christian Klein, Sam Barnhart, Zuber Muhammad, and Jack Groller. And in lane 5 for the Wildcats, we've got Ethan Jenkins, Philip Kozin, Ezra Moeller, and Jonah Moeller. So the Moeller brothers. All right, and the divers seem to be doing okay. A lot of them swimming without caps. You're not required to wear a cap, but you can swim without one. Divers are probably more comfortable without it.
Right.
And they are coming in, and there is Stone. Again, nice entry. Very nice entry. We'll see how we do here. Divers better be careful. If they do too well, they're going to start putting into races.
Well,
I don't know if they like that or not.
They'll have to get past Amy first. She's very adamant for the protection of her divers and keeping them as divers.
So even if you are a diver, you are not required to only do diving. There have been plenty of guys out there that have done diving and then swam a race. It does count as one event, so you can do diving, 1 swimming race, and 2 relays, and you'd still be fine. It is a very difficult
task.
There are a few that have done it.
Our divers are taking first place there with a 2:08.04. They seem pretty stoked about that. And just behind them, we have lane 1 and lane 3 at 2:14 and 2:15 respectively. And lane 5 ending it off with a 2:16.94.
All right. So now we are going with the 200 freestyle varsity relay. And again, in lane 3, we have a senior relay. So that's filled with 4 of the Eagan Wildcat seniors. So we'll let them get started, and we'll announce who's in each lane. All right, in lane 1 for the Wildcats, we have Tyler Burby, William Wynn, Aiden Smith, and Zach Van Lanningham. In lane 2 for Apple Valley, we have Braden Rick, Caleb Frerich, Gavin Curry, and Nicholas Kaiser. In lane 3, we have our senior relay with Thomas Keller, Ben Currens, Neelan Ambalan, and Alex Bango. In lane 4, we have the Apple Valley team of Luke Klopp, Aiden Call, Dylan Amarabandu, and number 4, Bridger Cook. And finally, in lane 5 for Eagan, we have Reese Ginnis Cook, Louis Decatois, Josiah Schaffhausen, and Miguel San Jose. I should point out that in lane 5 we have, so in this particular race, we have all 5 seniors from Eagan swimming. We've got the 4 of them in lane 3, and Reese in lane 5. He swam first. So all 5 seniors in the pool for this particular race.
Oh, that's wholesome to see.
They will have a bit of a trouble next year. I think that they have 15 juniors currently, so it will. They may not be able to do it for all the relays, but they'll definitely. I'm sure Chris will do his best to get all the seniors in some relays.
And that really all depends, though, on who they're facing in the next senior meet.
Very true.
It's their senior night, excuse me. Because I know some years it's been against like one of the most challenging teams, like a Prior Lake, and then other years you'll have other teams in the conference that aren't doing as well that year.
Yeah, there is some strategy.
There is, yeah. It is definitely. I've heard from many coaches how long they stay up at night just crafting out that perfect event for their swimmers.
All right, well, the seniors took first place with a 138.32, and Reese, swimming with some underclassmen in lane 5, ended up with second. So they and not too far behind. So all the seniors finishing well.
That'll be a 12-2 split though for the Wildcats as they took first and second, with lane 4 taking third with that 150.30.
Yep, and I believe after the 500 we have actually passed that 94. So we are no longer keeping score. I think we are doing exhibitions racing.
Yep. So usually with exhibition, it's just to make the score line look better. They typically change it up so that the team that's winning no longer keeps track of their scores. Just as it's a respectful move by the coaches, just to show fair play and good sportsmanship in the South Suburban Conference.
Correct. Not required, but almost always done.
Not required. Yeah, there is a few occasions where a coach might not do it, especially if it's a close meet. They just might not care enough to do it. But almost always you'll see the coaches reaching out and doing that exhibition.
All right. So next up we have the 100 backstroke JV. And we have in lane 1. In lane 3 we have Lucas Gord, and in lane 5 we have Lucas Hanna.
Only 2 swimmers here, so again you're gonna have that one versus one duel here, and it looks like it's gonna be a close one.
It looked like Lucas got a pretty good turn there.
Oh, definitely. Got around fast.
I hate to tell you this, but they're both Lucas. It's Lucas Hanna and Lucas Gord.
I will tell you that Lucas will win this
for sure.
swim. I'm just not sure which one.
Yes.
And solid splits from both of them. Lane 5 had a 38.72 with lane 3 coming in at a 42.30 for that first 50. But now, let's see, hopefully a negative split, but we'll see what happens in the next 30 seconds or so.
Yeah. They're both doing a very nice job of keeping their head very still.
Definitely, that's very important for backstroke. You don't want it to be rocking with your body, because think of it almost like a long axis along your body, and most of your body rolls with that, but your head stays constant looking straight up. And that helps keep you more in line with the water and much faster.
I remember you doing a number of backstrokes.
Yeah, backstroke was my main event. It's not as good as some of the guys down there. Like Miguel has surpassed me at this point. Miguel San Jose, I believe he's a junior this year.
He is.
I had the opportunity to swim with him when I was in 8th grade, or when he was in 8th grade, excuse me, as I was a senior. But yeah, it's cool to see all these guys from all the schools grow and develop throughout the years.
All right, so we'll start out here with the 100 back varsity. 3 Wildcats and 2 Eagles. We'll let them get started, and then we'll see who's in which lane. All right, in lane 1 we have Brad Simpson from the Wildcats. In lane 2, Caleb Farich from the Eagles. Derek Bango in lane 3 from Eagan. Lane 4 is Gabe Lenzen from Apple Valley, and in lane 5, Josiah Schaffhausen. So we have 4 ninth graders and 1 junior. Derek in the middle is the junior, otherwise in lane 3. Otherwise, the rest are all ninth graders.
Yeah, and I have to give respect to Gabe for being a freshman in lane 4 and still holding pretty strong with our junior. Because Derek Bango, I've seen him swim outside of the high school, and he is a very strong swimmer altogether. So seeing lane 4 holding it pretty well, especially as a freshman, that is extremely impressive to be going as fast as he is right now. And definitely in the next few years, I would expect a section performance out of him.
All right.
That's going to be a 1:02 for lane 4 with a 58.94 in lane 3 for Bango. Yeah, and 1:02 is definitely a really nice starting point as a freshman. A lot of time to work with getting under that 1 minute, which is prized by all 100 backstrokers out there. And maybe even with shaving, tapering, and wearing a fast skin, he'll get under that 1 minute at the end of the season.
Oh yeah, you can definitely see dropping a couple of seconds there.
Yeah, as for the rest of the group, we have lane 5 taking third, lane 1 taking fourth, excuse me, the 111, and then lane 2 finishing it off with a 5th place spot at 129.94.
All right, and so now we are going with the 100 breaststroke junior varsity. We've got a couple of guys lined up. I think there's supposed to be one more, and they are waiting to get the third guy up there. A little bit of confusion. It looks like we are going with 2.
Yeah, the show must go on.
All right, and in lane 1 we've got Eli Carrasco, and in lane 3 Aiden Smith. So we will see how these 2 guys do. Not sure that I've seen either one of them swimming the breaststroke before, but it's a good chance to get out there. And
there's a time for everything.
Yep. Eli, I know, is a 9th grader and just starting out in swimming, so the fact that he can do the breaststroke is excellent. There's a couple of those strokes for newer swimmers, the breaststroke and the fly, which can be confusing.
Definitely mechanically wise, the butterfly and the breaststroke you'd find that more often, swimmers more often get disqualified there, especially for not doing a 2-hand touch turn on the wall, so meaning that they have to place both hands on the wall at the same time before going the other way. But then also having that synchronous whip kick, so it's kind of hard to explain, but if they don't move the legs at the same time, that can also result in it looking like a scissor kick, which isn't allowed for the breaststroke. I know one of my good buddies, Caden Keene, used to swim the IM a lot, and breaststroke was one of his worst events just because of that very suspicious kick that he did.
The breaststrokers are definitely a breed amongst themselves. You see them doing the breaststroke in the 200 IM, as we talked about. The breaststroke is key to the 200 IM.
And I'll leave that to them. That's theirs.
And, that's what they do.
An excellent performance from both swimmers here. Lane 3 at a 1:14.45, and lane 1 getting that 2nd place spot with a 1:32.05.
All right, and now for the varsity breaststroke.
We're almost wrapped up here. Only 2 more events.
This is the last individual event.
Right. And this is one of our first full heats in a while, too.
It is. We've got 3 from 3. All right. In lane 1, we have Brand Simpson from the Wildcats. In lane 2, Aiden Kale from Apple Valley. In lane 3, senior Thomas Keller from the Wildcats. In lane 4, Luke Klopp from Apple Valley. In lane 5, Louis Decatois from the Wildcats. And in lane 6, Josh Lee from Apple Valley.
And note that with this 100 breaststroke for Apple Valley, they're all either underclassmen or juniors. So all these guys will be coming back next year even stronger and more powerful. And that'll definitely help out the Apple Valley team because they seem to be in more of a rebuilding and a growth phase right now, with all those underclassmen and a little bit of smaller size.
Yeah.
We have a good race going on right now for 2nd, as lane 4 and lane 6 are commanding that 2nd place spot, with lane 5 not too far behind. In lane 3 we have a dominant performance.
Thomas.
Thomas, yes.
Yeah, he's coming at it strong. I know he was hoping to go under 107. We will see. It's going to be very close. Nope, not quite
not
there.
Gonna get
Very
it.
Close, though.
I mean, he got a 107, but not under that. And lane 6 just finishing up right now with a 1:14.97, a solid swim. And lane 4 taking that 3rd spot. So this has probably been points-wise one of the closer races of this competition.
For sure, this was a very strong showing for Apple Valley in the breaststroke.
Definitely.
So that's bodes well for the future, especially since they have.
Yeah, that would be 7 points for Apple Valley, so a 9-7 split, which means Eagan still took it, but it was much more competitive and very close. which is what we always love to see in any sport, really, is a good competition.
Everybody wants to see a close game, provided your team comes out on top.
Of course, of course.
All right. So we've got the JV 400 freestyle relay and the 400 varsity relay left. We'll start out with the JV, and so it's a relay, 100 yards each, 4 guys, down and back, and then do it again 3 more times.
My favorite.
We'll let them get started, and then we'll give you a rundown on who's swimming where. All right, in lane 1 for the Wildcats, we have Michael Boom, Ryan Huth, Ezra Moeller, and Eli Carrasco. In lane 3 for the Wildcats, we have Isaac Krebs, Ian Chong, Ethan Schumacher, and Lucas Hanna. In lane 4 for Apple Valley, we have Christian Klein, Zuber Muhammad, Jack Groller, and Sam Barnhart. And in lane 5 for the Wildcats, we have Bergen Rolwing, Preston Dunn, Pranav Otinbulu, and Lucas Gord. I see we have a couple of guys that have just swam. I know Eli and Lucas were swimming the backstroke, so some guys that are kind of pulling a lot of late races.
Oh yeah, it's definitely in the back half of the meet, especially if you're one that swims that 500. It is hard to try to do like 3 or 4 events really close together.
Well,
The 500 can be almost seen as a buffer for those that don't swim it. And same with diving. While it is great, a very, very important part of the meet, it gives those swimmers enough time to just rest a little bit if they did swim that 200 freestyle or 200 individual medley.
Well, off in lane 5 there, we've got Preston Dunn that's entering the water for his 100. He did swim the 500 if you were in the JV heat, so he swam the 500 and now he's coming back out to do another 100.
Just one more time. A couple more lengths.
Just a little bit more yardage.
Now let's see him do it again. Maybe a varsity swim? Varsity debut?
Well, not sure about that. Although we should check and see if Mason Dietering's in the 400.
Yeah, I don't want to speak too soon.
Yeah, Preston's looking like he still has something left in the tank, so he's doing all right.
Yeah, I would be absolutely gassed at this point, but he's holding strong with about 37 more yards to go.
All right, so we're wrapping up here with this meet. We've got this in 1 heat left, and then unfortunately for me, this is my last home meet.
Really, I'm sorry to hear that, but it's been a pleasure having you, Paul.
Well,
how long have you been doing this for?
So this is year 5 for me, so I'm not
Really?
I'm not holding any records. I know Gus has been here for what seems like forever. I think he might have came here when this
will never die from this pool.
Yeah, I think he was here when they broke ground on the school. But it has been a good 5 years, I will say that.
Yeah. Hey, you get to spend time as being a parent, and that's an important part too.
Yeah.
It's seeing your child, Thomas in this case, Thomas Keller, swimming his final year of high school swimming too, which is crazy to believe.
It is very crazy. We'll
Yeah.
send him off to college next year. No swimming for him though. I don't know that any of the guys are going to be swimming next year. So.
Okay. I know a lot of the schools do have opportunities to swim, so even if it's club swimming, which is maybe not as competitive as doing that D1 or D2 swimming, but it's still just as important and just as critical to health and lifestyle.
Swimming is one of those that it's a lifelong sport, right? You can do it till you're 80, and it's a great way to stay in shape and just keep your muscles moving. You don't see a lot of 80-year-olds playing football.
And if you do, they're probably in really good shape. And pretty brave too, I would say. Oh. So,
Not sure what happened there in lane 4 with that handoff, but
yeah, that was interesting. I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe just looking at a different lane and seeing them go, but
it'll be okay.
But hey, it is junior varsity, so it can be a learning moment for both swimmers.
For sure.
And something maybe to talk over in the locker rooms or on the bus ride home this evening.
Yep, and it's it's learning. Sometimes things happen.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's the fun of it.
Welcome to life. All right.
Oh, it could have been that the guy jumped in 50 early, maybe.
That could be.
Big.
So we did we do a 50, then another 50, now another 50?
Yeah, maybe.
We'll have to see what happens here.
Well, lane 3 just finished up with that 4:32.69, so a very commanding lead for most of the 400 free relay. But we'll have to see what else happens here for lane 1, lane 5, and lane 4. However, it looks like lane 5 actually finished just now with the 4:46.97. So it's still a solid performance, roughly a 110, 111 between each swimmer if you want to average those out. So that's a solid performance for JV, and there's always room for improvement.
Yep.
Well, both for JV and varsity, but
It's very nice to see them, you trying to get under 5 minutes
Yep.
and just.
oh, for sure. And I mean, the season's only about half over at this point, so a little bit more than that.
It is hard to believe that this is the last home meet, and we've got a bunch of meets left to go. We've had one away meet so far.
Yeah, that's definitely unusual for a swimming season, but there's always new things to be found. Now we're in the final event here, the 400 freestyle varsity relay. And this should be an exciting moment for both teams as they're lined up here at the blocks with 5 of the 6 lanes filled.
And we do have Mason Dietering swimming the relay here at the end out there in lane 5. He's going to be leading off, so keep your eye on him.
Negative split?
Oh, of course. All right. In lane 1 for the Wildcats, we have McGavin Nee, Carlos Conlon, Kuldeep Ratchabetui, and Vedant Shestra. In lane 2 for Apple Valley, we have Nicholas Kaiser, Gavin Curry, Dylan Arambandhu, and Luke Klopp. In lane 3 for the Wildcats, we have Derek Bango, Tyler Burby, Davin Chong, and Miguel San Jose. In lane 4 for Apple Valley, Jovan Langseth, Bridger Cook, Gabe Lenzen, Josh Lee. And in lane 5 for the Wildcats, leading this off was Mason Dietering, Riley McRoberts, William Wynn, and Brad Simpson. So kind of keep an eye on lane 3. That is all juniors for the Wildcats. So it's
one more year of fun next year.
One more year there. You might be looking at next year's 400 free relay.
I would like to note that I believe
Mason coming in a decent time.
That was around 1 minute for his swim, so still had some gas in the tank there, despite swimming 1,000 yards already. But it looks pretty close though between lane 3 and lane 4, with lane 3 just ahead by about 1 body length, which means that anything can still happen in these next 250 yards. Looking more at the outside lanes, lane 5 is not too far behind, probably about 5 to 6 seconds behind. And then lane 1 and lane 2 are still finishing their 150.
Yeah, we do have a couple of strong swimmers, I know, for Apple Valley coming up, both Gabe Lenzen and Josh Lee, kind of the back half of their 400 relay. I know that those guys have been swimming pretty well tonight, so we'll have to see how they do.
If I remember correctly, Josh was in one of the more recent events, and he was very, very strong in his performance.
The only thing that might be tough is Dobbin and Miguel for Eagan, also a very strong back half. Should be interesting.
Looks like Apple Valley's actually catching up a little bit over there. I'm still about 1 body length behind, but they're definitely holding very firm in this third leg of the 400. And our third swimmer just came in for lane 2. Solid start.
All right. So Dobbin coming in, handing off to Miguel.
As the Go Big Blue chant goes off, it's a long-standing Eagan tradition to do that on the third leg of the relay as they make their final 25. Almost as an encouragement to that final swimmer, and also a no pressure for them. But
I think Miguel has got this. I think he can handle the pressure.
Right. And now, besides lane 1 and lane 2, I believe, are still on their third leg, but the other 3 lanes are getting into that final 100.
Well, Miguel swam that first 50 in a 23:43, which is a very strong first 50 for
Absolutely.
For a relay.
In the next few seconds, we'll have our final swimmer in lane 2 diving in. So everybody will be in their final few lengths, except for lane 3 that just finished up with a 3:30.88, which is really solid. Still quite far behind the pool record at about, that's that 3:14 set in 2015, I believe, 2016.
That 2016 400 free relay, that's a fast group right there, I will say that.
Yeah, 2016, that was the year after winning state for them, so that was a big deal.
Yep.
It looks like we have our third finisher here in lane 5 at a 4 minutes 92, just missing that sub 4 barrier, but overall strong performance from the top 3 teams here, lane 3, lane 4, and lane 5 respectively.
All 3 looking very good.
And lane 4 finishing up with that 4:15.02 in lane 1. And now final 12 yards of this competition, being fought strong, being fought very well. Final 2 strokes here, and they'll be ending off with a 4:31.88 to conclude this swimming competition.
Very nice. So Eagan pulls away their final, pulls a victory out for their final home meet of the season. Hopefully they do well going forward.
It's crazy to believe it's already over, at least in the terms of home meets, but
January 17th, and we're done with the home meets, which is a little unusual.
But around the South Suburban Conference, we'll still see plenty of meets going on. There's 3 meets left for most teams. It might be a little different based on any scheduling problems or the snowstorms that we've been seeing the last month or so, but there's still plenty of swimming that happen, and you can tune in to some of the various sites to see if they have.
And the next big meet for the Eagan Wildcats will be True Team State on Saturday. So very exciting. It'll be good for them to get over there with a True Team section win.
Yeah, and
so
eventually, that's their first time back there in a few years, isn't it?
Yeah, they went a couple of years ago, but that was as a wild card. They haven't won the section for True Team since 2018. So it's gonna be fun to get back in there.
Yeah, it's another chance to swim at the
University of Minnesota pool.
Yeah, the Freeman Aquatic Center, which
Correct.
is a very important, in Minnesota, like swimming culture, that is a huge deal to be able to swim in that pool. It's considered one of the better ones in the country, and as having experienced swimming in that pool, it is very, very nice. It's very lucrative, and I mean, it can be a bit busy when there's like 20 teams there all at once, but it definitely is worth it for the time spent in that water.
They're actually hosting NCAAs there this year.
Oh, really? Yeah.
NCAA Division I championships for the men is at the University of Minnesota.
Yeah,
so
it's a big deal.
It's a big pool.
Yeah, and a lot of swimmers, some of them almost Olympic caliber too. Getting to swim at that pool would be insane.
For sure. All right. Well, thank you all for joining. Have a good evening, and we'll see you again next year. Oh, we do have some diving, but we'll see you for swimming next year. Thank you. Bye.